We are live for another episode of the Couch Warrior podcast. As always, I'm your host, Mike, and today we'll be breaking down UFC Atlanta with my guy, MMA Jewish Better. What's good, JB? How you doing, brother? How you feeling about this card?
I like it, bro. I'm excited to talk the fights with you, bro. I love listening to this podcast every week, so why not join in, bro?
Let's go. Yeah, so JB coming in on short notice. Ended up needing him to come in, and he was nice enough to join us, so should be a good show, and we can jump right into it. We got Daz in the chat. What's good, Daz? He was 40 minutes early. Glenbot, what's good, Glenbot? Thank you for tuning in. As always, it's much appreciated. Last week we did. Let's do a quick recap, actually, of last week, because we both did pretty good, didn't we? So for me, I ended up profiting 7.3 units. Hit big on Gustafsson. That was my main play, was Gustafsson money line and decision. He came through, and he's officially one of my favorite fighters now. Batista came through as well. That cashed. Lost on Spivak, which it is what it is. Like, I thought he won, but it was probably a bad bet anyways at minus 155. Had I known he wouldn't wrestle at all, wouldn't have made the bet, but it is what it is. And then we had the Gastelum Piper fight goes that cashed. Had the Sal killed Mirzakhanov parlay that hit. O'Malley decision did not hit, didn't even get close. Silva sub did not hit, didn't even get close. Jekka died, and Wang didn't even try to get a knockout. But ultimately, 7.3 units tracked after the lottos that lost. We made it all the way to the O'Malley leg, but then lost the lottos. It was like 6.5 units profit. But how'd you do, JB?
I did good, bro. A little bit of a volatile card, man. I was down like 8-9 units, something like that in the beginning of the night.
I remember you posted it, and then you posted your recap that you were up 10 units, and I was like, what the hell happened?
How, Sway, how? Just hit a couple props, the right numbers. Yeah, I had some bad bets, and I had some good ones. Luckily, I made out with some profit, bro, and that's the name of the game.
Double-digit profit.
I couldn't believe it. That's definitely by far the craziest night I've had, experiencing like emotion-wise of gambling just from the beginning of that. And the funny thing, I was just chilling the whole time, like, hey, let's see what happens. Either I'm gonna have a really terrible night, or maybe I turn it around. And somehow I was able to turn it around.
Hell yeah. Well, hopefully we can start this one off good and end it good. Let me pull up the fights, and then we'll jump right into it.
No heart attacks, man. No emotional damage for me this week.
Yeah, please. I can't handle anymore. All right, first fight of the night. I think this one came together like recently. At least it feels that way. We have Vanessa Demopoulos versus Jamey-Lyn Horth. Demopoulos, she's going to be 11-7-0. She's 36 years old. Going to be 5'2" with a 59.5-inch reach, and she is moving up in weight. I don't really know why, but she is. And then Horth, 7-2-0. She's going to be 35, so she's 1 year younger, 5 inches taller, and she's going to have let's call it a 6-inch reach advantage. What are you thinking for this fight, JB?
Man, I just think physicality is going to play here. Here's the thing with Jamey-Lyn Horth is she's came into the UFC and went up against Veronica Hardy, and I was there for that fight, and it was really close. A lot of people had Horth that night as a favorite, but I thought Veronica Hardy wound up edging it out. But you could argue it either way. The thing with that fight is Veronica Hardy has a ton of lateral movement. She came back very improved. She's a solid fighter. To pin her like in a corner, it's basically impossible because she's consistently moving. I don't see Vanessa with that same movement. And then, on the outside, she likes to mash the body kicks. The problem with that in the Petrovic fight is Petrovic would catch the kicks. She could kind of match the physicality, so she's able to take her down. I think here, man, just stay on the outside, try to land big strikes. Elbows up the middle, I think, could be a huge weapon for Horth that she likes to go to. Big knees in the clinch, I think, for Vanessa, she's not going to like that. And moving up a weight class, I've seen her in a lot of bad spots on the ground, too, that I think if Horth winds up in mount, she just might not. Like, Alan Carr's a better grappler than Horth, but she's just so small. She could be like atom weight, whereas Horth has to probably cut a bit of weight to get to 125. She's quite large for the weight class. So I think she gets a dominant position. She should secure a win here, possibly even a finish. I lean toward the decision, but I do think she could get a finish here. Vanessa kind of toward the end of her career. I know they're similar in age, but we've seen these 35-year-old women like Vanessa, not Vanessa, Jasmine Jasdavicius, another Canadian, kind of get into the prime of her career a little bit late. So it's not impossible. I just think one girl's a little bit more toward the end of her career, and that's Vanessa. And it just shows because she's moving up weight when I think she's too small for the weight class. And I think it's going to be a good fight. I got Horth here.
Yeah, in my opinion, Vanessa could easily be an atom weight. I'm not sure why she's moving up. Got to listen to some interviews, but I have no interest on her side. Like, would I ever even consider Horth minus 600? No, but like here, it kind of makes sense to me because I can't game out what a Vanessa win looks like. Like, I don't know what that possibly could look like. Is she going to outstrike Horth? How? Like, I just don't really see it. She doesn't carry power, so she's not going to knock Horth out. She's not going to win moments on the feet by landing big shots. She's not going to get takedowns. She's probably not going to. I guess she can armbar Horth. That's always live, but what
Horth
else?
is so big, though, bro. Like, she's just going to square up every time Vanessa tries to angle off. Like,
yeah, and just like put the pressure on her. Like, I don't know how Vanessa wins. It's MMA. Anything can happen, but I don't really see a path for her. So I think Horth is fine. Obviously, I'm not playing it, and there's nothing I can do with a minus 600.
right.
I thought about parlaying the decision, but it's like, it's so chalky. It's minus 235, and then Vanessa's going to fall apart. Horth is going to get a round 3 finish. I'm going to lose 2 units, and I'm going to be like, damn.
I'm thinking about playing the finish prop, but it's so risky because Vanessa's tough, I just think it could be like a size thing. I even think she could sub her. I've seen a few grappling matches of Vanessa where she goes out there and gets subbed versus a lot smaller jiu-jitsu girls. In MMA, we've seen her against, she's busy complaining about the glove versus Amarim, who I think super high level. And obviously Alencar had a bunch of positions. She's just so small. Like, I just don't know. The physicality and the grappling just matters so much. And she just might eat a knee. I even could see a standing KO, as crazy as it sounds, just because Horth might be the hardest hitter she's fought so far. And, like, Vanessa does not she eats shots, but she takes a lot of shots to come forward. And
did Vanessa get knocked out by that lady?
She got knocked down by Gomez Juarez.
And then she subbed her, right?
Yeah, that was a good one. I was there for that, too.
I remember that one. I think I had money on the other woman. What was her name? Suarez?
Yeah, Gomez Juarez. I've bet on her before too. She just kind of wound up fading out of the UFC. Her ground game wasn't shit.
Yeah. But all right, we can move on. We're both picking the minus 600 favorite, so no major surprises.
Probably by decision, but I could see the finish. What are you going to pick on it? Are you doing your tapologies yet?
Oh, true. Yeah, let's do Horth decision.
I think that's fair. Like, that's my outright pick.
Like, she has some regional finishes, so I guess it is live, especially with such big size.
Yeah, I'll think about it.
All right, we can move on to probably a much more competitive fight. We've got Phil Rowe versus Ange Loosa. Rowe 10-5-0, 34 years old, 6'3" with an 80-inch reach. Loosa 10-4-0, 31, so he's 3 years younger. Going to be okay. I got to do math. 2 and then 3. Okay, 5 inches shorter, and he's going to have a 6-inch reach disadvantage. I'll start us off here. So this is one of the first fights I taped because I have some sharp fellas I know who are on the Rowe side. So I wanted to see if I would end up there, and I'm kind of a never Rowe guy. I just don't trust him. I don't trust his game. I don't trust his fight IQ. But, he was a moderate underdog when I was looking at it. He was like plus 135. I know it came down now. He's like plus 115-ish. So I was looking at it, and I can understand the play. I can definitely understand the play because who's gonna have the finishing upside here? It's definitely Rowe. I don't really think it'll be a sub, but I could see him knocking out Loosa. I do think that's on the table. Rowe hits really hard. He has a phenomenal jab when he chooses to use it, and he's got the frame where if this dude fought smart, popped the jab, followed up with long, clean shots, moved, then I think he could be a really, really good fighter. He's a solid fighter, but he just doesn't really use it. He's too willing to brawl half the time. He'll grapple when he shouldn't grapple. He makes mistakes in the grappling. He pretty much lost himself the fight against Jake Matthews there, and for those reasons, like I just can't trust him. Not even at plus money. If he was like plus 200, we'd be having a different conversation. But at the end of the day, like his takedown defense isn't even that bad either. Like I remembered off memory him just falling over, but his takedown defense isn't bad. He does the right things. It's just that once he's on his back, he doesn't look great. And sometimes he'll start the grappling himself and then end up on his back, which is also a problem. Like I said, fight IQ is my major red flag with Phil Rowe here. And on the Ange Loosa side, honestly, I kind of remembered his striking being better than it is. Like I was taping his striking and I was like, man, it's not that good. Like Rowe's probably going to be piecing him up. Rowe's definitely going to hit harder, definitely going to have the reach, like be able to work at range. That jab's going to be there all day long. And like low key, Loosa's cardio isn't very good either, which is another concern. Like neither is Rowe's. Rowe's not much of a pace pusher either, but Loosa's cardio is also a little bit of a concern for me. But at the end of the day, I do think he's going to be able to wrestle Rowe. I guess that's really what it comes down to for me. I think Loosa's a pretty good wrestler. He doesn't do a ton with it. That's why I don't want to lay the chalk on him because like I think he's going to get the takedowns. But then the question is he going to do enough? Because damage over control, most of the time judges stick to it. And I think Rowe's going to be the one doing the damage on the feet. And I just don't know that Loosa's going to do enough on the ground. So for a pick, I'll stick to Loosa. I just trust his fight IQ a bit more. And I think that the grappling is going to be there. And I don't trust the judges to actually stick to the damage over control criteria. But I can understand the Rowe dog shot. How about you?
Yeah, this is a good fight, bro. I really like it. Just intriguing stylistic matchup. Loosa does slow down. I don't think he completely death gasses, but I think his wrestling pace slows down as the fight goes on. He isn't able to get those takedowns as easily because in the first round he's a bit of a bullet. Like he can get takedowns when he wants. He does a good job locking his hands behind the butt, putting guys down, but his control lacks heavily. Like he cannot keep people on the ground to save his life. And that's the problem I have. And then you got Rowe, who can kind of play off his back sometimes, but he is the longer fighter. He can use that tall man defense sometimes to use the cage to get back up. I think early Loosa is going to have takedown success. Rowe does not fight well when it's dirty, and he can. When you can keep him going backwards, I feel like he's starts to break a little bit in the defensive structures. When he's going forward and it's a kind of clean fight, he looks really good, but he doesn't let his hands go either, and that's the problem I have with Rowe. If you just let combos go, maybe dig to the body here. That's something Bonfim did really well, even if it's just a straight right to the body, because it helps fake that level change. That's just something that Loosa would have to worry about on top of that, because who knows what if Rowe does get on top, he might have a good grappling advantage here. He might have backpack upside, sub upside. He's worked with guys like he went to Craig Jones' B team, all that stuff. Obviously, he's done the grappling matches, trains at Fusion XL. So I think he's good jits, but man, he can play off of his back a little bit. So that's a big worry for me. I think, on the feet, he's got the better striking, in my opinion, clearly. And I think Loosa gets hit a lot. Like we've seen him rocked in multiple fights now. Rowe has KOs on the record, so I don't think it would be shocking to see Rowe hurt him here. But Loosa likes to keep that high guard. So you're either going to have to go to the body, which I think Rowe should do here. Just even like I said, little jabs to the body, little right hands to the body, just to give Loosa something to think about. Go around it. I don't know if Rowe has the ability to necessarily do that or just split with a jab right up the middle. I think he's going to be able to hit Loosa here. And I like his striking better. So I lean slightly Phil Rowe. I think it should be probably a pick 'em, but I have no interest in it because I don't feel like confident in the margins.
Yeah, I'm with you there. We can move on. I'll put in a Loosa decision, but I don't think I'm gonna have any money on that fight unless something really drastic happens with the line.
What do you think? I always got to ask you because we're like, you're a prop guy. I always listen to you for the props. I was thinking about the Rowe KO. What number would I need on that to like really, dig my claws in now? Like,
so that that was one of the first things I looked at. It's plus 600 on Bet Online.
Okay.
So maybe domestics will give us a little bit better. Like that's probably good.
Yeah.
That's probably good already. It's just like, do I really want to play it?
I know, seriously. Like, who did he knock out? It was Jason Witt. Not really. Nico Price.
And Witt was taking him down easy.
He was taking him down. Witt is a good wrestler, though. He's just like Loosa. He's not a great control guy either. So it's like, see it playing out a lot of ways. What you on?
What'd you say?
What you drinking?
White Claws. You can't really see it because my camera blurs out everything that's not my face, but White Claws today, Irish Spring Inn. Good to see you, bro. So Aussie fight fan in the chat. Sup, Mike. Sup, Ashmuz.
I tried.
You came real close, bro. You almost got it. You almost got it.
Oh, dude, and I bet on the other side too. It would have been crazy.
But all right, moving on. We've got Ricky Simone versus Cameron Smotherman. Smotherman coming in on short notice. Who was Simone supposed to fight originally again?
Charles Jourdain.
Right. That fight would have been sick, honestly. But it is what it is. We got this one. Ricky Simone, 21, 6-0, 32 years old, 5'6" with a 69-inch reach. Smotherman, the baby-faced killer, 12, 5-0. He's 27, so he's 5 years younger. Going to be 3 inches taller, but he's going to have the same reach. Start us off, JB.
Love it. This is a fight I just recently broke down on my man Dan Half the Battle. I don't know if I'm supposed to give out the secret, but it's coming out soon anyway, so the people will know. Go check it out. We broke down this fight, and I think it's a simple fight, bro. I ain't going to waste your time. I do think, Smotherman is a solid prospect, but this seems like a tough matchup for him on short notice just because of the wrestling. Like, I was there when he fought Ryan Coos. I had a bet on Coos plus 180, and I was livid. I said, Texas, you're corrupt. You're the worst. And it was funny because they, walked past me, and I was like, saw his coach. What's his name? Coos's coach, the guy that runs Karate Combat, Asim Zaidi.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, that was a fucking robbery. And then he's like, would you say it on video? I'm like, yeah, he never posted it, thank God. I'm like, yeah, that was stupid of me. I was so mad in the moment. I'm just like, well, I'll go back and watch the fight. It was closer than I thought at the time. But still, at the end of the day, Ricky Simone's a higher UFC level wrestler. If he doesn't go to the wrestling, that's the only way he loses the fight here. And I think he could even bonk Simone on the feet. I mean, not Simone. Bonk Smotherman on the feet because we've seen Smotherman hurt before. I actually think Ricky's live to club and sub him here, bro. He can hurt Smotherman, I think, on the feet. If Gregorio can do it, I think he can do it. And we've seen Smotherman chinned on the regional scene also. Maybe not knocked out completely, but he gets buzzed, hurt, kind of short, stocky guy. But I think Ricky has that good build to just get him down. And I think once he's down, Smotherman probably ain't going to have much for him. But even on the feet, man, if this stays extended and striking, if Ricky could clip him, bro, but it also gives Smotherman his path. So not a good idea. You should probably wrestle here. That's your easy path to victory.
Yeah, I'm with you here, and not a ton to break down. Like, you guys know me. You give me a plus 500 underdog, I'm going to do my damn best to find a reason to bet them, try to game out a way they win. And look, I mean, Smotherman can win. He could probably knock out Simone if Simone chooses to strike. And if for some bizarre reason Simone doesn't mix in any takedowns, and this is anybody's fight, like, I can't come out here and say Ricky's a better boxer because I don't really believe that. I think it's probably close. Ricky maybe hits a little bit harder, but Cam's going to throw a lot more volume than Ricky does on the feet. Targets the body nicely. Good work there. I like his striking a lot, so that's not the problem for me. But the issue is that Ricky is going to shoot. Like, he's going to wrestle. He's not one of those guys who comes out there and doesn't grapple. When he knows he should be wrestling, he does it. And he's a very good wrestler. He's a very strong bantamweight. He's very physical. And the striking's pretty good too. And I just don't see Smotherman presenting the same issues that some of these other guys have for him. Like, Vinicius Oliveira is just a different specimen of a human being. Elite athleticism, really good at preventing takedowns. Mario Batista, we all know he's the goods now. Very good takedown defense. Smotherman just historically does not have good takedown defense. He gets taken down. Sade did it 5 times. He got grappled by Mando Gutierrez. After the Charalampos fight on Contender Series that he lost, he had the Mando fight. He was like a big favorite going into that fight too. And Mando was beating on him. He was out-grappling him. And then ultimately Smotherman gets a late finish, comes into the UFC on short notice, beats Hadley, and here we are. So yeah, for me, it really comes down to Simone fighting smart. If he fights smart, I think he covers the price tag. If he doesn't, it could get greasy. But as of now, I don't really want to get involved. If they make like if the market ends up making Smotherman a plus 700 favorite, then I'll throw a quarter unit on it because you never know. It's MMA, and in the striking, I think it's very close. But outside of that, I'm probably just gonna pass and save my money. I don't hate
the shot on Hadley, but it's not the same fight. Like, it just isn't.
Yeah, it's not the same fight. Hadley, A, not as good of a wrestler as Simone. B, flyweight. C, it's Hadley. Hadley doesn't exactly fight smart.
Exactly. Fucking. What were you gonna say though? You don't mind the what?
I don't mind the under.
Okay.
I don't really like. It's not really a spot where I love the under because when there's like a wrestler involved, even if they got hands like Simone, like they got power, I'm still really hesitant. But I do think both guys are live to knock each other out, so I don't hate the under here. And Make sure so first of all, listen to Dan from Half the Battle and smash the like button. Help me out. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and leave a comment. That all really helps. And if you're on Twitter, like, subscribe, follow, whatever. Anything helps. Please do it. And then second of all, make sure you check out Dan's show. I know my guy JB was on there for a little bit. Dan just is dropping his 600 episode for Half the Battle, which is insane. I'm pretty sure he's the longest running MMA betting breakdown show from what I know, and one of the best to do it. And he's done 600 episodes. So make sure you guys check that one out. And he's also from Atlanta. He's from Georgia. And what's up, JB?
And we're all Jews. Don't forget that.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. But make sure you guys check him out over there at Half the Battle. And Irish talking about the Cide taking down Cameron. Yeah, he did indeed. All right. We can move on from the big favorite. And then we got our first, I believe this is our first Georgia native, right? Think so. All right, we got Cody Durden versus Jose Ochoa. Durden 17-7 and 134 years old, 5'7" with a 67-inch reach. On the other side, Ochoa 7-1-0, 24. He's 10 years younger, same height, same reach. I'll start us off here. So when Ochoa came into the UFC, I was pretty high on him, and I only knew about him because when he fought in LFA against Pantoja over here, I bet on Pantoja. I got him like plus 185. I was like, you know, this dude Ochoa, he looks good, but he's fought nobody. And Pantoja looks pretty good. He was the underdog, so I took him. And Ochoa just beats Pantoja's ass. And then when he came in against Kavanaugh at plus 300, I was like, this guy shouldn't be plus 300 to another debutant. So I bet him there. And I didn't hate the bet. He lost. The bet lost. But I thought it was a solid play. I didn't think he should have been plus 300 there, even after the fact. And then going into this fight, it's like, I don't want to ditch my guy because obviously I was high on him going into the UFC. And everyone I know who I consider sharp is on Ochoa. But like, I couldn't really see it. Let's go. Look who it is. Let's go. The legend himself pulled up. Let's go, Dan.
Hey, you spoke so kindly of me. I just had to hack your stream and find my way in here. Thank you.
Hell yeah. Let's go, bro. I'm really glad you can make it. But I'll go first and then I'll pass it to you to talk about this one. But for me, so like I was saying, I know a lot of people who are on Ochoa here. They're very confident. And I went into the tape thinking, okay, like, let's see what they're talking about. And like, I get it. It's going to be not an easy fight for Durden. There is some submission threat from Ochoa. He does have some nice front chokes and he is a really clean striker, but I can't understand the line. Like personally, I don't get it. I understand Durden is on the older side. Maybe some people might be perceiving a decline, but I don't really see a decline. Like, yeah, he struggled against Josh Fan in the second and third round, but that dude is ridiculous. He's about to have a #1 contender fight and then possibly fight for the title. And he's like 23 years old. He's just different. I don't see the same things from Ochoa. And look, Ochoa does have good takedown defense from what I've seen so far against the guys he's fought. Kavanaugh shot twice. He stuffed it really nicely. There's other guys on the regionals who have shot at him, and he did all the right things. But none of those people are like Durden. None of those people will continue to shoot. None of them are going to keep their own hands in your face and then shooting over and over and over again. If Durden doesn't get the first takedown, he's just going to keep going. And we also don't know what Ochoa looks like off of his back. We just literally have no idea because it's never happened. So what's it going to look like if Durden does get his takedowns? Because he is probably the best wrestler that Ochoa's ever fought. What's going to happen then? We don't know. So I can't lay -170, -180 there. And I'm very interested in the dog. For me, usually, if I get a striker versus grappler matchup, and I think it's competitive probably everywhere, I'm going to lean towards the grappler, especially if they're the underdog. And Durden's got the experience advantage. He's fighting at home. Clearly the better offensive grappler. And I don't think he's shit out of luck on the feet either. Like, Ochoa's probably cleaner, yes. Nicer kicks, yes. But Durden's got a nice jab that he works off of. He follows it up nicely with the 1-2. And he's got really underrated power also. So for me, I can't see this fight being, like, at worst, if we're going to favor Ochoa, like, at worst, like, pick him -125 on Ochoa. Otherwise, I think it's too wide. For me, it's Durden, and I'm probably going to get to an underdog play. How about you, Dan?
I mean, you know, I'm very biased towards Cody Durden. He's a personal friend of mine. I've been to his house, met his wife and kids. So, you know, I'm not going to pick against him. But I also don't really bet on Cody Durden fights because of my bias. Now, you could call me a hypocrite because I definitely bet on Malcolm Wellmaker, but it's just a little bit different. Like, I think Malcolm Wellmaker is like a future top 5 guy. And, you know, Cody made it to the top 15, which is incredible. But yeah, it's, you know, he fights, he likes to stand in the pocket and bang. And he's got this state championship wrestling credentials that I wish he'd use more often, you know, and I feel like if he puts on a well-rounded veteran performance here, he can have a lot of success. But Ochoa is definitely a stud. He's a young, hungry kid that comes out of shoot the box. He's long for the weight class, big kicks, knees, front chokes. I like the kid. I think he's got a very bright future. I kind of remembered his fight against Kavanaugh a little bit differently, you know, like in terms of when I watched it, because you got to remember it was like 5 a.m. in Macau, China. So when I watched it live, I thought it was like this 50-50 fight. But when I rewatched it, I low-key think Kavanaugh won like 13 minutes of that fight. And Durden's been in there with real people, you know, Josh Van, real guy. Tagir Ulanbekov, real guy. Now, the Bruno fight's unfortunate. Bruno is a real guy, but man, Cody was dominating him and just got caught. And what's unfortunate about that is that, look, Josh Van and Tagir are just straight up better than Cody. There was nothing he could have done in those spots. Those guys were just better than him. But Bruno was not better than him. So it's just unfortunate that he got caught in that spot. But you see how he handled Matt Schnell on a week short notice. You saw that he 30-27 Charles Johnson. And Charles Johnson is known for like having a big third round in every single fight. And Cody unanimously got a 30-27 there. So you love to see it. So yeah, I hope he comes out here and uses his experience, mixes it up, and gives this kid a vet lesson. And I think the kid comes back and has a very bright future.
Agreed. And one other thing I wanted to mention before I pass it to JB, it's the output of Ochoa, which also gives me a little bit of pause with him being a favorite here, because he doesn't throw that much. That was kind of one of my issues. Like, he's accurate, he's sharp, but he's not putting a ton out there. And against a guy like Durden, who is going to put a ton out there, I think that's a little bit of a problem. But where are you at, JB?
This is going to be a really good fight. Cody Durden, no matter what you want to say about the dude, you know he's going to bring it every single time. He's the classic wrestle boxer. He's got good jiu-jitsu that he showed in the Matt Schnell fight. Not a lot of people were saying that he could submit Matt Schnell. Dan knows that. I said, hey, don't be surprised if this guy rocks him and wraps up that, choke on him, maybe takes the back. And we even saw that, a guy in Jimmy Flick couldn't submit Cody Durden. I know Jimmy Flick submitted.
Wait, Jimmy Flick did submit
Cody Durden, but it was kind of a meme thing. He couldn't sub Matt Schnell, a guy who Cody Durden was able to sub. So that was a really good look for him. And obviously it was at 135 and Schnell a little bit toward the latter of his career. But as you mentioned, the losses for Cody Durden come against top guys. This is a, second fight in the UFC for Ochoa, but I think he's got more weapons. I think the kicks are going to be able to work here. We don't know what he looks like off of his back. That would worry me heavily to bet him at chalk. I do think the durability edge I give Ochoa. I could see Durden landing big shots here. Ochoa is hittable. I think a big overhand right is possible here, but I just think Ochoa is going to be able to eat it. Do I want to trust that at chalk again? No. But Durden coming off of a really bad, damaging loss against Van. Sometimes we just don't know what fighters are going to come back like after stuff like that. So that's what worries me on the dog shot on the other side, especially against the guy that I think is going to be the cleaner striker in Ochoa with the durability. Probably going to be a pass fight, but I'll root for the man, Cody Durden, man. Hometown, why not?
Yeah, and here's the thing, guys. He went all in for this camp. So win, lose, or draw, you're going to get max effort out of him. Like the last 4 months he spent at ATT Florida, away from his wife, away from his kids. I mean, Cody Durden knows what's at stake. Mike, Couch Warrior Pod, knows what's at stake. The Jewish Better knows what's at stake. I know what's at stake. Everyone in the chat knows what's at stake. So, it's up to Cody to come out here and give this kid a vet lesson. Let's see if he does it or not.
Hell yeah. It's going to be
tough. It's going to be tough to beat Cody in Atlanta, though. I speak from experience, having commentated a lot of his regional fights, not amateur fights like Malcolm, but Cody's early pro career. He's tough to beat in Atlanta.
And
all right.
I think you made a good point. Like, we just really don't know what Ochoa looks like off of his back for any period of time. Like,
because it's never happened.
Exactly, bro. So who's to say like it's gonna look good? Like, that would worry me heavily at chalk to back somebody like that. Although he did look good in the grappling against Kavanaugh, he had some reversals. I would be very sketched.
Yeah, it would be a completely different conversation if he was the underdog. But when you're making him a favorite in his second UFC fight, like, that's something we gotta worry about at least a little bit. But we can move on to the other Georgian prospect we got over here. We got Malcolm Wellmaker versus Kris Moutinho. Wellmaker 9-0, undefeated, 31 years old, 5'10" with the 71-inch reach. Moutinho 14-6-0, 32. He's 1 year older, going to be 3 inches shorter, and he's at a 1.5-inch reach advantage. Dan, why don't you start us off for this one?
Man, Malcolm Wellmaker is the best prospect we've ever had out of Georgia. And that's saying a lot because, we produced a UFC champion in Forrest Griffin and tons of great fighters along the way. But Malcolm Wellmaker is bar none the best talent we've ever seen. And, hard work beats talent when talent refuses to work hard. But when you combine the two, you get Malcolm Wellmaker. And he literally has everything you want in an emerging prospect. I mean, the speed, the power, the accuracy, the timing, the takedown defense, the swag, the confidence. You hear him talk. He's just highly intelligent. It seems like he's media trained, and I know he's not. It's crazy. Like, he's just a natural, man. And you should see his highlight reel finishes. I'm not just talking about that Cameron Simon fight or the Contender Series fight. Go check out his regional knockouts. And yeah, I called this guy's fights as an amateur when he was fighting with big gloves and headgear and shin guards, and he stood out back then. So it's incredible to see what he's developed into now. And I remember before he was even in the UFC, hitting up guys like Mike Couch Warrior Pod. Hey, man, will you interview this kid, Malcolm Wellmaker? I'm telling you, he's going to be something one day. So shout out to you for having him on your podcast.
One of my favorite interviews I ever did.
Yeah, and we'll definitely have to get him back. But yeah, listen, I think the way you tackle this is Wellmaker round 1 minus 120 and Wellmaker round 1 KO plus 110. Because Moutinho, listen, I got a lot of respect for the guy because, some guys on the roster, 3 people on the roster turned this fight down. Merab's training partner turned this fight down. Now, in Merab's training partner's case, he's got an excuse. He had a knee surgery last week. But the other 3 guys, I'm very curious what their excuse was. But so big shout out to Kris Moutinho. Look, he went back to the regional scene. He got a 5-fight win streak, a 5-fight kill streak. He got his call back, and he had the balls to step up to fight Malcolm in Atlanta, Georgia at the State Farm Arena. So, like I told Clint earlier this week, if Kris Moutinho wants bottle service sent to his room, if he wants strippers, a half ounce of the best, say less, Kris, because you're taking one for the team, and we sincerely appreciate you, my friend. So, Kris, as long as he conducts himself with class, ATL's got his back for giving us the opportunity to see Malcolm in Atlanta at State Farm Arena.
Yeah, it's pretty dope of Kris to actually accept the fight because he's not stupid. He understands this is a really difficult fight. I'm sure. I mean, if you're an MMA fighter, you have to believe in yourself. I'm sure he's coming into this thinking he's got a chance, and it's MMA. He's got a chance, but I think the line's probably right. I think Malcolm is probably going to knock him out probably pretty early. Kris is just too hittable. That's really what it comes down to, and I don't see what he does that's going to give Malcolm a major issue. I don't think he's going to grapple him. I don't see him really taking him down. I don't think he's going to submit him. Don't think he's going to knock out Malcolm. And Malcolm's just really, really smooth. I think he's the real deal. I doubted him a little bit going into the Contender Series fight. I was a little bit unsure, and he proved me wrong there. After that, changed my tune, hopped on the train with him against Simon, cashed there. This one, I mean, it's very difficult to bet. Minus 2,000. I don't like laying chalk on round ones either, especially with someone like Moutinho who can tend to be durable. Took a lot of shots from O'Malley, but then at the same time got knocked out by Guido Canetti in the first round. And I can promise you that Wellmaker is more dangerous than Guido. But if I was to play this, and if I am going to play it, the only way I can think of is maybe a round 2 KO and a round 3 KO, just so I don't have to stake all that much. And that's really it. There's not much else to say. Malcolm should get it done, and hopefully they give him a more competitive matchup next time.
Hopefully they give him a more competitive matchup, or hopefully better opponents say yes when they get offered the matchup.
True. Gotta correct it. Hopefully guys start saying yes, but him and it probably doesn't make much logical sense, but him and Talbot would be sick. That would be a really fun fight. But how about you, JB? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think Kris Moutinho is gonna probably get fucked up here. Under 1.5, minus 165 could be a good look. I don't like to lay chalks though on the under 1.5. Who knows, what Moutinho's durability is like after, the Sean O'Malley loss, right? He took a lot of damage in that fight. So maybe whoever fought him next was just going to catch the chin, right? Now he's taking a bunch of years off. Not off, but he's fighting guys that he could pretty much easily beat. Hasn't been knocked out in any of those or anything. Yeah, I think it's Wellmaker. Wellmaker, probably early KO, maybe some value on it. I'm not sure. I think this guy has some grappling, though, that's sneaky. I don't know if you agree with me, though, Dan, but he's got 2 subs on the record, a couple amateur subs. I don't know if he gets it here. I think he knocks out Moutinho, but I'll be looking for it in the future. That's all I'm going to say.
I mean, listen, man, he grapples more than he strikes, and he's got like some serious D1 wrestlers that he works with. So, but like Mike was saying, you know, Moutinho likes to cook guys. So what does that mean? He throws a lot of volume. He likes to eat your hardest shot, keep walking forward. And I love it, but it's like, don't do that against Malcolm. So yeah, I think he's screwed. But Mike, thanks for having me on for a sec. I got to go upload episode 600. I appreciate you. I appreciate my boy JB, and best of luck this weekend, guys.
Oh yeah, brother. Thank you for coming on.
Yes, sir. And shout out to everyone that's tuning in the chat. Appreciate y'all as well. Take care.
All right, there we go. King of Atlanta had to dip, but we're going to move on. Next up, we got Michael Chiesa versus Court McGee. Chiesa, 18-7-0, 37 years old, 6'1" at the 75.5-inch reach. McGee, 22-13-0, 40 years old. He's 3 years older. Going to be 2 inches shorter. And he's gonna have the same reach. JB, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, bro. What can I say? This is the battle of the old men. KSI, I think, has fought in like the better level of competition though as of recently, so that's probably why I'm gonna lean him here. But I still don't trust it. Not at this price tag. Like, he is the better grappler for sure, but his wrestling isn't the best. On the feet, he scares me a ton. So, yeah, that's the Michael Chiesa side. Obviously, he has amazing jiu-jitsu. I think his process once he gets to the back is extremely good. Not a lot of people were saying he could submit Max Griffin, but he was able to get the job done there. I do think he could submit Court McGee. I know, Court McGee never been subbed, but Chiesa's just really good when he gets on the back, man. He's got those long limbs. He just knows how to get there, and that's his specialty. If not, he could hold you down and win big portions of rounds with minutes. He does enough damage just so the ref doesn't stand it up and you can't move. And Court McGee, kind of old. His hips aren't as good as they used to. I think the win against Tim Means is the fact that if you could get the fight to the ground against Tim Means, you could probably submit him. So, yeah, other than that, he's been knocked out brutally a few times. The fight versus Alex Morono was close, but I'm not high on Morono either. For me, this is kind of just another pass because even on the props, man, like I heard some people maybe mention the TKO, but who does Chiesa never goes for ground and pound. He's only going for the submission. He doesn't really have the best striking, so I don't see it there. Sub is like risky because what if he doesn't sub Court McGee? What if he just takes the back and Court's good enough to survive? Court didn't get submitted by Ramiz, who we just saw get a good submission recently. So, yeah, kind of hard fight to bet for me here. I know it's like one of those cards, man, but it is what it is. I'm still excited to see this fight, and I think Court probably gets retired here.
Yeah, unfortunately, this won't be the most exciting episode of the podcast because this card is really difficult to bet on. There's just not a lot. And usually I say that, like I'll go into a week, I'll be like, oh, I don't like much. It's going to be a small slate. And then I end up with like 10 units staked. This is definitely not going to be one of those. Not going to have a lot staked on this card. And for this particular fight, like McGee is one of my favorite fighters to lose money on. I always give him more of a chance than he probably should. But honestly, he has been doing relatively well when he's not getting knocked out. I personally thought there was an argument for him to win the Morono fight. I thought he was
pissed. I had McGee. I was like, come on.
I had McGee too at like plus 250 or something. When everyone else was saying McGee's done. And I was like, how about Morono? He seems pretty done too. And that was just a tough loss. But at the end of the day, like I went into this fight thinking, okay, look, Chiesa strongest in the grappling. You're making him like a minus 350. Who has out-grappled Court McGee? Who's able to take him down? Who's able to keep him down? The answer is essentially nobody. Even Sean Brady wasn't really able to take him down. And when he did take him down, he could barely control him. So it's tempting, but at the same time, like that Sean Brady fight was a while ago. Most of those fights where we saw his counter grappling was a while ago. He's 40 years old. The reactions are going to be slower. So it's tricky. And what it really comes down to for me is even if it does stay on the feet, even if this ends up being a 15-minute kickboxing affair, like, is Court going to run away with it? Probably not. Probably not. And Chiesa was pretty aggressive on the feet against Max Griffin. Like, I can kind of see the angle for the knockout because I don't think it's out of the question that it can happen on the feet either. Like if Chiesa does that thing where he was clinching up and just throwing bombs inside, McGee's chin isn't all there. So I don't think Chiesa's knockout's out of the question, and it's a pretty big number. I probably won't get there because, like you said, he really doesn't go for it. And on the ground, he's not really going for ground and pound. But yeah, I don't hate that look. Long story short, I do think Chiesa still should be the favorite because at the end of the day, who does have the potential to look like a big favorite? It's Chiesa if he can take him down and take the back. Once he takes the back, he's incredibly hard to get off of you. I don't think he's going to submit Court, but I think he can win a lot of minutes on the ground. So I wanted to find a reason to bet Court McGee here, but I just can't do it. I think it's a winnable fight, but if he does win it, it's going to be extremely greasy. Like, I don't see him winning this like 30-27, whereas Chiesa could probably win this 30-27.
He definitely can. Yeah.
Yeah, but all right, we can move on then. Next up, we've got a rebooked fight. We got Paul Craig versus Rodolfo Bellato. Craig 17-9-1, 37 years old. Imagine he was only 27. 6'3" with a 76-inch reach. Bellato 12-2-1. 29 years old, so he's going to be 8 years younger. He's going to be the same height, and he's going to have a 1.5-inch reach advantage. So who went first last time, you or me?
Oh, you're asking me? Dude,
yeah.
Oh, no.
I think you went first. I think you went first. I'll go first for this one.
So
but
sorry, bro.
Nah, you're good. Not like I have a ton to say here. Another really big favorite, same line as before. I don't think you can ever trust Bellato at this price. He's just, his fight IQ is horrible. Like it's really bad. He does all the things that he shouldn't do, and he's the exact kind of person who's going to be winning on the feet against Paul Craig, and then says, "How about I go for a double leg now?" Gets a double leg and then gets submitted. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think that's the highest likelihood, but it can. It can. That's the problem with backing Bellato at this price. I think he's got all the upside, though. I think he's more likely to get a knockout, most likely to get a knockout. I think he can knock out Craig on the feet. I actually don't really rate Bellato striking all that much, but Craig's is worse, and Craig is more hittable. Craig's more chinny, and I don't see much of a threat coming from Craig on the feet. And, like, what is Craig going to do? Take down Bellato? That's not going to happen either. So Craig's pretty much submission from bottom or bust. It really comes down to if Bellato's smart enough or not to not go for the takedowns, but for a sneaky prop that I was thinking about, I was thinking maybe Bellato decision. It's like plus 450. I don't think that's out of the question. We've seen him take plenty of guys to a decision. We've seen him go to 5 rounds to a decision. And he really does slow down. The power starts to diminish a little bit. And I can see a world where round 1, he beats up on Craig, but Craig keeps pulling guard, not letting him get that finishing punch, and he doesn't follow him. Round 2 starts, similar. But Bellato starts following him to the ground. Craig's throwing up his triangle. Can't get it. Bellato stays safe. Round 3, same thing. Bellato decision. Boom. Plus 450. That's kind of how I gamed it out in my head. I don't hate that prop. I might get to it small. But other than that, I'm probably going to pass. But I will pick Bellato. How about you?
Literally was my exact breakdown on the podcast I did yesterday. We've seen it before. Like, Usman took him to decision. Nickel took him to decision. Bellato has been the decision before. He does, semi-slow down later in the fights, and who's to say he doesn't get on top here and waste time there? Craig can't submit him. I think time will go on. And also, it's possible that I just think that man, he's probably gonna knock him out, bro. Craig's striking so bad.
He's probably gonna knock him out.
But then the thing is, like, if you bet the knockout, what happens when Craig pulls like the Charles Oliveira and just every time he's rocked, he just sits on his butt? And then it's like, does Bellato go in or does he play that half in, half out? Like Usman couldn't get the finish, and he's a pretty dangerous striker. So is Bellato like Francis Ngannou? I don't think so. And his knockouts being priced like that. So was Pateria if Pateria didn't gas, Bellato survived, but it just wasn't power. It was Pateria was completely dead. So I don't know, man. I think it's very live. I'll probably wind up playing it now, but it'll be like what's his name, Ikram versus Muniz, and I'm like, oh, this is looking so good. It's like Craig's dead.
Did you bet the Ikram decision there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then it's just like, bro, oh, What happened? Just one shot dead.
Yeah, Muniz kind of just fell apart there, right?
Yeah, it was looking like it was going to decision, and then just one exchange, bro. Yep, happens.
That's how it goes. But all right, yeah, I'll go with Bellato, and I'll stick to my guns. I'll go Bellato decision. Did I fill out the other ones?
Right, I love it.
I'm picking a lot of freaking decisions. Definitely not for Wellmaker. We'll go round 2 Wellmaker. All right. Moving on. We've got Alonzo Menifield versus Oumar C. Menifield, 16-5-1, 37 years old, 6 feet tall with a 76-inch reach. C, 11-0, undefeated. He's 29. He's going to be 8 years younger, 4 inches taller, and he's going to have a 7-inch reach advantage. Start us off, JB.
I think C is going to win the fight. I just think he's the younger product, training at ATT, I believe. Or is he at Bulgarian Top Team? I believe he's at ATT, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
Okay. And he just possesses all the attributes here. Longer reach, younger, better durability, in my opinion, from what we've seen. The only thing you could say is that, like, Menifield's been in the UFC longer. And the one thing I didn't like that I saw from Sai on film is, like, he can be reversed on the mat. I watched an amateur fight of his, regional fight of his in 2022 where the guy was reversing him. And then,
which one, Paulin?
Yeah, I believe so. So if that guy's a good grappler, like,
he's just a solid regional fighter.
Right. You know what I mean? But yeah, some of those reversals, but he wound up getting him out of there. So I like maybe some KO props on C here. I think it could be sneaky, but I want a little bit of a better number. If I get like plus 350 or better on the CKO, I think Menifield's hittable. I think he's not going to be even competitive on the feet outside of a bonk. So, yeah, I like C to win here. I know he's a huge, huge favorite. He is green, so that worries me, but I think he's going to win, bro.
Yeah. Jesus, my throat killing me today. But yeah, I tend to agree. I think C should get it done. Like minus 700 is kind of gross because I do think he's pretty green. I was watching him on the feet, and it's like for the first 2 minutes, you're like, wow, this guy's really good. And then you kind of realize that it's just a jab of 1-2 and leg kicks, and then there's not really quite that much more. And I mean, he's incredibly athletic. He's huge. He's gifted. Clearly, he's young. So the striking will come. But right now, from what we have and from what we've seen, the striking does seem pretty limited. It does seem pretty green. He does a pretty good job defending himself, so that's good against a guy like Menifield who does hit really hard. And like even as green as he is, like he's going to be the cleaner guy in that his strikes are going to be straight down the pipe. I do think he's going to be faster. The kicks are very fast. When he does throw them upstairs to the head, they're very nice. So like technique-wise, yeah, he's probably cleaner. Menifield probably a little bit more dangerous in my opinion on the feet. Does hit like a train. And he is a dog. Menifield is a dog. Like he'll come through sometimes when you don't expect him to. That's why like I'd be hesitant to lay the chalk on C. But what I do like here is I kind of like the over. I think the over is solid here. The over 1.5. I think fight goes at almost plus 200 is also pretty solid. C's taken plenty of guys to a decision. Took down Jung to decision. And Menifield, like yeah, he's been knocked out, but the guys knocking him out are like Oberg and Mirzakhanov. They're both very powerful and very fast. And very technical strikers, developed strikers. C's not that. Like he's fast and he does have some power, but he's not the super polished striker, not an elite counter striker by any means. So I just don't really see him knocking out Menifield, at least not early, maybe later in the fight. But I think that C also slows down a little bit. And I think that there's going to be a ton of cage pushing, which is going to kill the clock. And I think that C is going to go for takedowns. Menifield, I think his takedown defense is pretty good, but at the end of the day, you can take him down if you keep going for it. And he can get stuck on his back. I know some people are targeting like the C submission. I don't personally think it's going to happen. Menifield never submitted. I think he's fought similar grapplers before, similar level grapplers before. It's possible that it'll be the first time, but if it does happen, I don't think it'll be early. So that's why I like that over 1.5. I think that's a solid spot. I've seen it range between minus 160 and minus 140. I think Betway has minus 125. I think all of those are pretty nice looks if you agree. But how about you, JB?
Yeah, I already went on.
Oh, you just went.
No, yeah. I mean, you made some good points though. Like over 1.5 could be very live. The decision could be very live. He took Daun to decision. Un basically out of the UFC, so that's very live here, and his grappling solid too. And who's to say he gets him on the ground and just doesn't submit him? Like, he might go back to the grappling here because that's his real like main bread and butter is the grappling. You just gotta avoid taking big shots on the way in, or once he gets into the ground, I think he's gonna have some success here. He does a good job like lacing the legs. He's very long too, so he can get you in positions that many guys can't, and that's tough to prepare for, especially in the grappling. You're like used to reacting defensively a certain way. And then when you have to deal with another kind of body structure, especially guys who are super long like that, like they can catch you with a darce from some angle that you would never expect. And it's just like, man, it's unfair almost. But yeah, all body types have pros and cons at the end of the day. And that's just one of them.
Yep. But all right, moving on. We're up to the main card now. And before we get into it, we've got 88 of you watching. Please like, subscribe, comment. All of it really helps. If you're on Twitter, same stuff. Like, follow, comment. It all really helps. And we're going to do the same thing I did last week. So if you're watching on Twitter, hop on YouTube, leave a comment in the live stream. If you're watching on YouTube but you haven't done it yet, throw a comment in the live stream. If I hit one of my lottos this week, I'll probably only have one. But if I do hit it, I will give let's do the same thing. Let's do 10%. I'll give 10% of the lotto to one comment on the chat in the live stream. I'll do one of those wheel spins with all your names. I'll record it so there's no funny business, and then I'll give the money to you. And I'll deliver on my promise. It's already happened once with my Discord. I did a similar thing. I told them just send me your picks. Whoever gets the most picks, if I hit the lotto, I'll give you the money. And I hit the lotto. Gave him the money. So if I hit a lotto, you guys are in the chat, I'll throw you in the thing. And if you win, I'll give you some money. And if not, you wasted 5 seconds. It's okay.
We should do it on the show right here, bro. We should make a 2-leg parlay, me and you. Just for fun. It doesn't have to be the long shot, but we could do that. Or it could.
No, let's do it. I like that. Let's do it. All right. Let's see what we got going on in the chat. Leroy, bro, just joined for. Yeah, JB's been around for a while, bro.
Appreciate it, my dude. But yeah, appreciate you if you're just coming around now. My guy Mike over here, 2 fellow Jews, bro. We're just breaking some fights now.
Let's go. But we got Kris here taking points to be deducted in the Brundage fight. We'll talk about this one in a second, but my guy Lou Betcha, maybe he would like this one with the yam bags. But we got Cody Brundage versus Mansur Abdul-Malik to start off the main card. Brundage 11-6-0, 31 years old, 6 feet tall with a 72-inch reach. Malik 8-0, undefeated, 27. He's going to be 4 years younger, 2 inches taller with a 7.5-inch reach advantage. I'll start us off here. I tried to fade Malik with Nick Klein, and we got close. We got damn close with the spinning elbow, and I tried to fade him with Wes Schultz as well. And it looked like we were on track until Schultz gassed himself. And look, I'm not fading Malik because I think he's bad. Not even close. It's just the way he's being lined. Like he's being lined minus 800, minus 600 over and over again when he's had 5 pro fights, 6 pro fights, 7 pro fights. And he's very green. He's very green. Like his striking's not developed. It's pretty good. Like his jab is nice. He follows it up pretty well. Good 1-2, decent kicks. He hits really hard, clearly, extremely athletic, very powerful. But he's not he's not putting together combinations. He's not like some elite counter striker. He's not a guy who's going to come out here and throw lands 80 significant strikes in a fight. I don't see him as that, at least not yet. He does come from a wrestling background. I think he wrestled for Maryland for 2 years. He's a good wrestler. He's extremely physical. The control's not that good, but he's fine taking you back down. But there's questions still, right? Like what I said with the striking, that's a question mark for me. How's that going to look in prolonged fights against better strikers? Not really going to come into play here against Brundage, who's not a technique guy whatsoever, but still a question mark. And also the cardio, again, probably won't be relevant here. But in general, I don't know what Malik's cardio is going to look like in her 3rd round because it's never happened. In 2nd rounds, he looks tired, but he still gets the finish. So he's able to fight through it. I think he's got a very high ceiling, but I think it's crazy to back him at prices like this. Now with Brundage, I don't like to bet on Brundage. I don't do it. It's not good for me. The last time I did it was against Cedric Dumas, and that was horrible. Like, that's the day I learned, like, this dude's fight IQ, like, you can't back him. I backed him against William Knight back in the day. That fell apart. But Like that, the particular one with Dumas where he shoots, he's in. Dumas sprawls a little bit. He's literally on the leg. Nah, let me go. Let me let go. Let me go for the guillotine. Goes for the guillotine, ends up on his back, wrestles back to the single leg. I'm like, okay, now he's good. He's going to finish a single, and he's going to be on top. He pops up and goes for the guillotine again. It's like, bro, I'm never going to trust you with my money again. Not even at like these numbers. Maybe against a different opponent, maybe. Against Mansur, I don't really want to do it. Like, can Brundage come out here and knock out Mansur? I think he can. I think it's possible. I think he hits very hard. I think this is going to be an extremely volatile fight. I think Malik is very hittable, and it's entirely possible Brundage knocks him out. But at the end of the day, like, if I envision this fight as being a car crash immediately, for me, it's really going to come down to who's more durable, and I think that's Malik. So I think he's going to get it done. Not going to touch this fight unless I sprinkle a Brundage KO, but I don't think I'm going to do that. How about you, JB?
Could just do like the round one just in case he catches him early. Like I've made money on Brundage round one before versus Zach Reese, and that was a hell of a bet to cash.
I had the money line there.
Beautiful, bro. Under 1.5 was good. All of it was just excellent that night. And I had literally bet Ihor Peteria the fight before against Rodolfo Bellato. And I bet like the round one KO. And he almost KO'd him in round two. So sometimes if you're going to play the round one, you might want to play the round two as well. You think a guy
almost always, bro. Almost always. It's the same thing. If you're going to play round three, which I do all the time, you should probably play round two. And I've learned that lesson many times at this point.
Yep. And, man, he didn't get the job done. Bellato wound up getting it done. And then the next fight after that, I believe, was Joe Slucky against Drakkar Close, and he slams him. So I'm like, wow, that was just nuts. Like, what an insane, like, 2 sequences back to back. And then I had the next bet was Cody Brundage round 1 knockout against Zach Reese. And he's about to get triangled. And I'm just like, God, dude, this is so terrible. Cody Brundage is awful. And Rampage Jackson, power bomb, boom. I cashed the round 1. And, like, what are the odds of 2 slam KOs happening back to back? And I was just there to witness it. It was just like, what just happened, bro? Like, that was unbelievable, man. I think Malik is probably going to win here late ground and pound round 1. Then Cody probably pull a guillotine. And Mansur's just nasty with the ground and pound, bro.
If Cody pulls Gilly here, I'm so done with him.
Oh, I would not be shocked, bro. He's gonna wrestle. He's gonna take him down, and then he's gonna immediately pull guillotine. So you can't trust him. I don't like this fight from a betting standpoint. Malik has 7.5-inch reach advantage. Like I said, I think he's probably gonna cover. I don't know because it's just so volatile. Minus 420 is too much to pay, but and like you said, he's super green. But man, I don't know. I don't like Brundage. I think he's kind of a quitter in my opinion. Maybe you change your mind after the last fight, but the ref stepped in. So it's like if the ref doesn't step in, maybe Julian Marquez knocks him out, and then what are we talking about? So yeah, maybe Brundage round 1 sprinkle.
Yeah, one of my problems with Brundage was always like, I don't know if this dude's got heart, but Marquez pretty much put him out, and like 90% of refs would have called that fight, but Brundage came back. The ref didn't call it. He came back and he got his own finish. So he's definitely got the heart. That I'll give him, but the rest is a little bit lacking. Shadow, why are we stupid, bro? Why are you calling us stupid for?
Might be calling the chat stupid, or maybe me. Might just be me.
Maybe because we're saying we don't want to bet Malik, but
yeah.
I feel like that's not a shocking opinion at -4. What is he, -400?
Yeah, I mean.
No, he's -800.
Just pick winners, bro.
True. 8 units to win 1. Let's go.
Easy money.
All right, moving on. We got Cody Garbrandt versus Raoni Barcelos. Garbrandt 14-6-0, 33 years old, 5'8" with a 65.5-inch reach. Barcelos 19-5-0. He's 38. He's 5 years older, going to be 1 inch shorter, and he's going to have a 1.5-inch reach advantage. Start us off, JB.
Dude, I just don't know where Cody Garbrandt's at this point in his career. Ronnie Barcelos, I could probably say like the same thing, but he had a good win the last time out. Maybe I'm overrating him because of that, but I always thought the guy had really good grappling. Solid wrestler. Cody Garbrandt, I think the more you take him down, the later in his career, he's been exposed by guys like Font. Figueiredo was able to take him down, sub him. I thought Cody could have fought maybe the sub a little harder, but I don't know what he's feeling in there. It could have been just the sequence. Figueiredo was being really aggressive, trying to get him to the ground. On the feet, I think either guy is live to get bonked. So that's the thing. I'm thinking about violence here. The only way I could see it really going to the decision is like Cody outpointing him on the feet, but both guys' chins kind of unreliable. And then Barcelos could just take him to the ground and 30-27 him like he did to Talbot. But even then, there's going to be greasy moments for both guys, in my opinion. So I may look violence. What do you think, bro?
This one's interesting to me. So I've always been a Barcelos guy. I've had a pretty good read on him, I would like to think. I bet on him against Quinones at chalk, and I was very confident in there. And I'm not going to lie, I did not like how he looked. And that's why going into the Talbot fight, I was very hesitant to get involved because I was like, look, Talbot's never been tested like this by a grappler like this. And Barcelos was what, like plus 900 at one point. So I was thinking to myself, like, I should play him, but then I don't know if I want to play him because the Quinones fight was such a bad look. Like, he ultimately got the win, but I didn't think he looked good doing it. I ended up betting him against Talbot. Came through. That felt real nice at plus 900. But I came away from it thinking, like, he didn't look good on the feet. Like, I know he won some moments on the feet against Talbot, but I think Talbot was kind of just overwhelmed with the grappling. He was nervous that Barcelos would go for more takedowns, so he was a lot more tentative on the feet. And even then, like, Barcelos just looked so slow. He looked so much more hittable than he used to. He looked way slower. And as the fight progressed, I mean, his entries on the takedowns were horrible. It's lucky for him that Talbot really has not developed the ground game yet and just really struggled and couldn't get back up. But the actual entries, like in round 2 and round 3, they weren't good on Barcelos. The re-wrestling, the chain wrestling, that was good. Like the second attempt, the third attempt, those were nice. But the initial entry, like he's kind of just ducking his head down. And a guy like Garbrandt, he can get a read on that. And another difference here is like Talbot, he's young. He's a really good prospect. He's an elite striker, really fast, but no ground game, no takedown defense yet. Garbrandt has very good takedown defense. He always has had very good takedown defense. I understand Figgy took him down. He submitted him. First off, Garbrandt stuffed, I think, 5 out of 6 takedowns there. And second off, I think Figgy just right now is in a better point of his career than Barcelos. I know that he's similar in age. I know he's moved up in weight class, but I think he's bigger than Barcelos. I'm pretty sure that's a fact, not a thought of mine. And I just think he's more physical. And yeah, he was able to get Garbrandt, but I'm not sold that Barcelos is going to have an easy time taking down Garbrandt. I don't think he's going to submit Garbrandt. That was the first time he ever got submitted. And on the feet, I think Garbrandt's going to be better. My only concern really is the output of Garbrandt. That's like my main concern because at least recently he hasn't been throwing a ton. But if he's throwing, I like his striking more. He's definitely faster. I'm very confident in that. I think he hits harder. I think he's smoother with the counters. I think the counters are going to be there all day with the way Raoni is. I just think he's too slow right now and too hittable. And like everybody's hard on Garbrandt and saying he's at the tail end of his career, but so is Barcelos. He's 38 years old at bantamweight. The chin's not what it used to be. The speed is not what it used to be. He's not as explosive. So I can't understand making him like a pretty moderate favorite. I don't get it. So for me, it's dog or pass here. I honestly don't know who I'm picking to win. I've been going back and forth. Like on one hand, Barcelos has the wrestling upside, has done more for me lately. But on the other, like my gut's telling me Cody's going to get it done. So we'll see. For now, I'm passing. But if the line moves enough, I could get involved.
Yeah,
how about you?
Once he got knocked out by Kai Kara France, like
yeah, we saw in the Trevin Jones fight. Then he was a lot more tentative. But I think it's just taking him some time to get back and like figuring out what kind of fighter he is now. Like sometimes they have to reevaluate. Look at Andrei Arlovsky, came back, became a completely different fighter, way more boring, but started winning fights again. So maybe Garbrandt will be more boring, but I think this is a winnable fight for him. I really do. And yeah, I might get to a play.
He's shit the bed as a favorite before too. You know, everybody was on him against Victor Henry. Nobody knew who Victor Henry was. And
I was on him against Henry.
Used the, footwork, the speed, and was able to kind of piece up Barcelos that night. So who's to say if Cody doesn't have a vintage performance, he can't get it done. What's he like, plus 175 now? I do think that is starting to get in the range of where you would want to start to play Cody. But I do think the grappling is on the edge of Raoni also. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if he submitted him. Am I predicting it outright? But no, but I do think there's still some equity there.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Dirty Reg saying, can Cody get close without getting KO'd? Look, I know Cody's had his chin problems, but I don't think Barcelos has the explosiveness anymore. I don't think he's knocking out Cody, personally.
Barcelos got a kind of sus chin too, bro. Like, let's be real.
That's the thing. Like, I don't hate unders at all. The only reason I'm staying away is because, like, I could probably see a couple ways it goes over or all 15. But I don't hate unders. They make sense considering both of them are chinny.
Yeah. Just Barcelos decision or Cody decision. That's it.
Yeah.
Obviously, but
6-Hound agreeing with me here. Moments versus minutes. Let's see. Garbrandt health issues and fight week photo shoot look really bad overall. Mystery. Yeah, I mean, that's fair enough, but I'm sure Barcelos has his fair share of injuries going on too at 38. It's a lot more fight in Barcelos to me. That's fair. I mean, that's fair. He definitely brought the fight last time out. He was a plus 900 underdog and got the win. So that's fair. But all right, we can move on. What will I put for the pick? We're going to trust our balls. We'll go, how about a round? He's going to counter him in the second round. That's what I'm going for.
That's a hot take.
How about that one?
I like it.
All right, moving on. We've got Edmund Shabazian versus Andre Petroski. Shabazian 14-5-0, 27 years old, 6'2", with a 75-inch reach. On the other side, Petroski 13-3-0. He's going to be 34, so he's 7 years older, 2 inches shorter, and he's going to give up 2 inches in reach. Start us off, JB.
Wow, man. How do I approach this one, dude? Shabazian. Thought he was going to be a really good prospect at one point when I first, started watching back the UFC, getting back into it. He was on the up and up, and then, man, he lost a couple fights in a row versus, now that we look back, some really good guys. But he's always competitive early against these guys. It's when he gets past that 7-minute mark, 7.5 minutes, he kind of falls off a cliff, and we've seen it time and time again. Petroski does slow down too, but I think he doesn't mentally break as bad. He fights through it a little bit better. I like the wrestling, obviously, on the side of Petroski, but I don't think Edmund's a complete fish in the takedown defense. I think he can keep this fight standing. If he does wind up on his back early, that's going to be a really big worry if you bet him at chalk, though. So I think the way to bet Edmund here is round 1, round 2. Is it possible he wins the decision? He's only won 1 in his career, and I think he used the grappling to get there. So kind of hard for me to see that. Maybe he chokes him with the front choke. Submission is like plus 500. I don't know why, because if anybody gets a sub here, I would think it's Andre Petroski. But I'm not going to predict that outright. I'm going to say Edmund KOs him. I think he gets it done in round 1, actually. I don't even mind it as a bet. But late props on Petroski, like round 2 plus 1,200, round 3 plus 1,800, round 2 KO plus 3,200, I think, and then like round 3 is plus 4,000. A round 3 KO is not out of the realm here because, like, at the end of the day, we've seen when Shabazian does implode, he's liable to be finished either method. So I would wait for that number to come out on like domestics if it's not already. I believe we got it. So yeah,
bro, you're cooking. You're cooking. I didn't even think of that.
Whisper bet of the week, Petroski 2-3 KO. Shout out to my man Narco.
That's sneaky. That's sneaky. But all right, real quick before I go, we've got a sudden boost over here because I believe my guys over at House of Stims gave us a little retweet. So we got a lot of you watching on Twitter now. If you're watching on Twitter, please like, follow me, comment. It all really helps. If you like the stuff, please do it. But also, as I mentioned earlier, what we're going to do is at the end of the show, me and JB, we're going to put together a lotto parlay. I'm going to put $25 on it. If it hits, I'm going to give somebody in the live chat 10%. So I'll do a random little wheel spin. We'll pick a name. Everybody gets 1 entry. So if you spam, that's not going to help. Just 1 comment. That's all you need in the live comments. I'll put you in. If the lotto hits, I'll do the wheel spin. Winner will get 10% of the lotto profits, and we'll do it like that. And shout out to House of Stims. If you want my bets, my notes, my breakdowns, that's the only place you're going to get it now. The link is in the description of this video, in the description in my bio, and you can DM me and I can send you a link as well. So make sure to check that out. And all right, so for me for this fight, I like Petroski here. I haven't made a play yet. I'm kind of just feeling out the line, trying to get an idea of where it's going to go. And I do kind of want a little bit of a better number because there's obvious advantages here for Shabazian. Much faster striker, much better striker, much more likely for an early finish. Petroski a little bit stiff. And Petroski doesn't have the best cardio in his own right. But for me personally, like, I can't get to Edmund chalk here when it's like it's a binary fight. It's a striker versus a grappler. And in Edmund, you have a guy who he's 27 now. He's been in the UFC for a long time. The UFC pushed him for a minute. They thought he'd be something. Maybe he will be, but he's always struggled with the grappling. And weirdly enough, it hasn't really improved all that much. His takedown defense is solid, but once he gets put on his back, he struggles. And once that cardio starts to go, then the takedown defense is just gone. Then it's gone. Early, he does all the right things. The underhooks are there. The hips are there. The reaction time is there. He's fighting hands. But once he gets tired, he's just falling over. And while I do think Petroski's gassy in his own right, I think he's got better cardio. And like I know guys like Fluffy, right? You look at the Fluffy fight. Fluffy needed, I think, 6 or 8 takedowns on Edmund. But Fluffy doesn't have good control. He doesn't have good control. He's a Marab type grappler where he uses it as a weapon in that he's got the cardio and he makes you think about what he's going to do next, and he can shoot a million times, but he knows he's not going to control you because that's not really his game. A guy like Petroski, he's different. He's not going to need that many takedowns. He won't, because if he gets Edmund down, I don't think Edmund's getting back up. You look at Petroski's record, most of the time when he's winning these fights, he's got 2 or 3 takedowns. It's because he only needs 1 per round because he's able to control guys. He has very good control. He's very slick in the jiu-jitsu department. He's one of the better grapplers at this weight class. And I do think that he's going to give Edmund problems on the ground. On the feet, he's not competitive. He's not, at least not early. Early on, he's going to be way more stiff, way slower. As the fight progresses and Edmund slows down, maybe he can land some shots enough to set up the takedowns, but it's going to really come down to the grappling. And I do think he's going to be able to get it going. So I'm leaning towards the Petroski side. I'm going to wait out the line and come to a conclusion there. But I've been eyeing that decision prop as well, the Petroski decision prop. I don't hate that. I lean towards him winning that way.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, he took Budka to decision, right?
He did take Budka to a decision. He took Frem to a decision, even though Frem was doing nothing. But Edmund's tough, you know. Edmund does fall off a cliff, but he's also tough. So I can see him making all 15. But you really got me thinking with that round 3 knockout, because that didn't even come to my head. That's how you guys know JB's slick, and you guys better be following him on Twitter. But
I need it too, bro. I'm close to 3K, so please, if you are watching, I never ask for followers. Please,
make sure you guys do that. give my guy JB a follow. One of the sharpest in the business. But yeah, I don't hate that look at all. At this point, like maybe I'll do like Petroski decision small and maybe round 3 knockout small. We'll see. Like I said, if you want my bets, my notes, my breakdowns, you can only get those at the House of Stims. Link in the description of this video. And we can move on. I'll fill it in. I'll go Petroski decision for my official pick. And we'll move on. Before I do that, let's catch up with the chat because it's been popping off. Let's see. Petroski, that's true. He's going to have to watch out for the hip. That was crazy, bro. I'll never forget that knockout. I think I had Malkoun in a parlay, and I wasn't feeling that good about it while the fight was happening. And then the knockout happened. He literally just hit his head into the hip and got knocked out. So that's concerning. That's definitely concerning. But luckily, he's a moderate underdog, not a favorite. All right, let's see.
Losing that is so terrible, bro. But
we got AP in the chat. What's good, AP? I believe this is your first time. Dev Patel, what's up, Dev? Let's see. 6 Sound, Mike. If you're on Petroski's side, you could wait to live bet. Okay, so I was actually talking to someone about this. I agree for the most part because Edmund is probably going to look real good in round 1. But I could also see, I could see Petroski winning the first round. Yeah, I could see him winning the first round. Yeah, that's the thing, and then you're kind of cooked on your entry. So I'll probably do live. I mean, I'll probably play it pre. And then, of course, I'll be watching live. And if something happens, I see that Edmund's beating him up in the first round, but he didn't get him out of there, I'll probably enter at a better line as well. but I do think I'll put something pre. Let's see what else. Andrew Betts. What's good? Andrew saying the KO is live there. On which side? Drew saying here from House of Stims. Let's go. House of Stims repping today. You guys pulled through hard. We got 436 viewers in the chat right now. So appreciate all you guys. Let's see. Most parts when something's obvious, live bet, the live lines aren't going to part. Yeah. It's not,
Right.
it's usually trickier than that. What else? I'm picking Petroskers as well. Edmund loves to get finished by wrestlers. Edmund does struggle with the cardio, that's for sure. Ashton saying got to be Rose here. Oh, we'll start. We'll talk about that fight in a second. And Irish asking me what's House of Stims. House of Stims is a Discord that I'm now a part of. I do their MMA capping, but they've got guys for all sports, basketball, football, baseball. I know they do all that good stuff. Make sure you check them out. They're all really, really sharp dudes. I wouldn't join them otherwise. And yeah, that's where you get all my plays, and it's a really dope community. So make sure to give that a look. But moving on, we've got Miranda Maverick versus Rose Namajunas. Rose is going to be 13-7-0. She's 32 years old, 5'5" with a 65-inch reach. On the other side, Maverick 15-5-0. She's 27, 5 years younger, 2 inches shorter, and she's going to be pretty much have the same reach. And these are two training partners. Things tend to get weird when we get training partners, but should be an interesting matchup. What are you thinking, JB?
Yeah, I thought you were supposed to go first on this one. I'll take it though. I'm good with it. Like I like it anyway.
All right, go for it then.
I think I predict Rose to win, but it worries me her mental game just in general. I know it's kind of overstated, but it is really a factor. Like when I watched that Esparza fight, I know like I would never bet this woman at chalk ever. It just she can't be trusted at this point, regardless of her skill, which I think is still there. She's really good at the striking. She's gotten a little bit low volume as time has gone on, though, and that worries me. Also, like she gets worried when girls try to wrestle her, and she could freeze up a little bit in the striking, not want to throw as much as we've seen in the Esparza fight. Like Esparza doesn't possess really any threat on the feet. She should have really been able to piece her up there, and she wasn't able to. Like just basically gave up the title. So I don't know where she's at. And then there's the grappling match against Jillian Robertson as well. I'm a bit worried about her at a big chalk price tag here. Miranda, though, not the best striking. Doesn't get finishes against, some of these girls where I think she should get the finish. Her wrestling is solid. Didn't really get to see it too much against Horth, but Horth is a really big, large woman. Rose, a former 115er. So physicality could play a factor here. Miranda, the younger fighter, a lot more to gain here. So I think she's live. I don't think she wins, though. I think Rose is going to win a decision. I think she's just the better fighter overall. And, yeah, good fight, though.
Yeah, I share the same sentiment. For me, it sucks because when was Rose champ? So, like, 4 years ago?
Oh, boy.
Around COVID time?
Yeah. No, more soon. A little bit more recent than that, I want to say. Because wasn't the fight versus Esparza for the title, or was she not?
Yeah, so that was 3 years ago, Esparza.
Yeah.
Because I was live for the second Wei Li fight. But pretty much my point is, since her rematch with Andrade, Rose for a while was one of my favorite fighters. Not one of my favorite women's fighters. One of my favorite fighters, period. I loved her style. I loved her mindset. I'm the best. Big fan. But then this Esparza fight happened, and I lost a lot of hope. And then she goes and she just gets Trevin Whitman out of her corner, and Pat Barry's now her coach. Just so you guys understand if you didn't see it. When Rose fought Carla Esparza, Rose is a much better striker, Carla the better wrestler, but nothing Rose hasn't seen before. In fact, it was a rematch. Rose was the favorite, moderate-sized favorite, and Trevor Whitman, one of the best coaches in the game. These days, he's not as relevant, but at the time, he was literally the guy. He was essentially treated like the fight nerds are now. He had a lot of really good fighters. Usman was champion. Guys like that. Gaethje was in the picture. And Whitman is a very sharp coach. The other guy, Pat Barry, former UFC fighter, Rose's husband, he was her other coach. When that Esparza fight was happening, Rose was doing almost nothing. And Whitman was like, I'm glad you're feeling good, but let's start having fun. He was trying to tell her in a nice way, throw more, do more, because you're not doing enough, do more. Pat Barry was like, oh, you hear that booing? That's a good thing. That means you're winning. So Rose listened to Pat Barry, came out there, continued to do nothing, and lost the fight. Lost it. Lost her title, then moved up in weight. She fought Manon on, I don't remember if it was short notice or not, but she fought Manon Fiorot up a weight class. We just saw Manon fight for the title, and she didn't look that bad. But I don't think she's the same fighter now. I don't like the coaching. I hate that Pat Barry's her lead quarterman. I think he's horrible at it, just terrible. And I think he's single-handedly tanking her career, which is really unfortunate because I think she's a really talented fighter. Now, all that said, I still think she should win this fight. I get it. Maverick's young. She's more likely to be improving. She's the one who's naturally at this weight class. She does have grappling upside, and Rose can be taken down at times. But like Maverick's striking is horrible. It's so bad. Rose is a way sharper striker. And I think Rose's takedown defense is pretty good. And offensively, she can mix in her own takedowns. And it's not like Maverick's not out here getting taken down by Horth. Horth took her back too. Not getting taken. She got taken down by Lee. Like, she's getting taken down. Blanchfield took her down 7 times. She only got 2 attempts on Rose out of like 7. So for me personally, I think Rose really should get it done. But can I back her at -240? In what I expect to be relatively competitive? No, I just can't, because her coaching is terrible. And normally she has 5 rounds to work with. That's what she's used to. So maybe if she botches the first few rounds, she can come back. She doesn't have that here. She's only got 3 rounds here. It's a 3-rounder. And that's where, and on top of that, the whole training partner thing, all of that is just too much. So I'm going to pass, but I think Rose gets it done by decision.
Yeah, that's what worries me too. Like, I share a lot of the same sentiments. It's so cool when I come on these podcasts and I get to listen to like these other people talk. And then I'm like, because when I go to the film, I'm like, you always wonder if your mind's playing tricks on you, right? So you got to like talk to other people sometimes. And for me, it just makes me like, when I hear people talk about it out loud, and then it's something that I've had written down or I'd thought about, it makes me start to think. Or they bring in something completely different that I had never even considered, right? So it definitely helps, bro. I think she wins the decision too. I do think the counter grappling was a great point as well. Like, who's to say she doesn't get takedowns here? She's gotten multiple takedowns in like her last fight, so it's possible. I just think Miranda might be a little physical, but yeah, it could definitely happen.
Yep, I'm with you there. But all right, we can move on. We got our main event of the evening: Kamaru Usman versus Joaquin Buckley. Usman 24-0. He's 38 years old, 6 feet tall with a 76-inch reach. Buckley 21-6-0, 31. He's 7 years younger. He's going to be 2 inches shorter, and he's going to have the same reach. I'll start us off here. So I've been on the Buckley train long before it was cool. I played him against Kevin Holland in his UFC debut. I played him against Impa before he got that highlight reel knockout in a fight he was winning, by the way. And I rode him for a long time. Now, I have tried to fade him a few times in between. I was on Wonder Boy. I think I put a little something on Covington as well. But at the end of the day, like I faded him in those spots just because I thought the number was too much in spots where he was untested. You know, Covington, 5-rounder. I wasn't convinced that he would be able to stuff the takedowns. Against Wonder Boy, it was kind of the opposite thing. I wasn't convinced that he would be getting takedowns, and I thought he might struggle at range. Now against Usman, like, look, if Usman was in his prime, we'd be having a completely different conversation. Completely different. Usman would be the favorite. I think we all know that's a fact. But at this point, he's 38 years old. We haven't seen prime Usman in a really, really long time, probably before the Leon Edwards knockout loss. And the knees are shot. He's got the double knee sleeves. Never a great look. He's been out for 2 years. So I can't get there. Like, I can't back him as the underdog. I think at the end of the day, like, yeah, the wrestling could be there for Usman. It definitely could, especially recently. Like, Buckley's been the one leaning on his wrestling against some of these guys like Wonder Boy. He can't do that here. He's not taking down Usman. I really don't think so. Even with the shot knees, like, I'd be very surprised if Buckley came out.
Yeah, I think Leon got him down.
Yeah, but Leon can wrestle. Like, Buckley's a striker who mixes in the wrestling when he's fighting other strikers.
It's not like Leon like, snuck around to the back. It wasn't the same. Like, Buckley's explosive double leg.
Can you imagine Buckley doing that, bro? Like, I can't. Crazy. Yeah, so, like, I don't see Buckley taking him down or anything like that. And maybe Usman can come out here and wrestle Buckley, but again, the knees are shot. I just don't think he has it in him to actually be able to do that and be able to do it for 5 rounds against a guy in Buckley who's in his prime, who's extremely explosive, extremely athletic, powerful, a very fast dude. And on the feet, I think Buckley's just going to be a little bit too much. I do think this line is kind of tough to get to with Buckley, considering it is still Kamaru Usman. You know, Kamaru Usman came off the couch on a 6 days notice, flew across the world to fight Hamzat Chimaev, and made a pretty good damn account of himself. You know, yeah, he got 10-8 in the first round, but after that, it was a very competitive fight. And if that was a 5-rounder, he probably wins that fight. And then again, we're probably having a different conversation here. So yeah, it's tricky for me in that the line is probably a little bit wide, but I do think Buckley's going to get it done. Whether it's a decision or a knockout, I don't know. I lean towards a decision because I still see Usman as durable and tough to finish. But if anybody's going to finish him, it's going to be Buckley, I think. So that's where I'm at, but I will pick Buckley. How about you?
Yeah, pick Buckley. Betting, though, like, I don't know. Once again, I don't know if I'd be willing to lay the chalk because in his prime, Usman's done well, bro. I mean,
we playing Buckley sub, JB?
Yo, I think, dude, so hear me out, bro. When he was playing Vicente Luque, bro, you know, he was landing those elbows from the top position. I think he could have just wrapped up the Dars, bro. Nah, I'm just joking. He did say in, like, one interview, though, as funny as this is, he said, I'm going to get a submission. I like laugh when fighters say that because then it never happens, right? But he did say that in an interview. But nah, dude, Buckley, I don't think he might not even know what a sub is. Nah, I'm just playing. But yeah, honestly, at the end of the day, dude, I think Buckley has the knockout upside here. Could he get knocked out himself? Yeah, but Usman, just 38 years of age, knee injuries, massive layoff. For all those reasons, I can't back him either. And like, what? Buckley's been on a roll at 170, and like, I don't want to get on the other side of that. So yeah, probably just going to be a pass fight for me. I know I've passed on a lot, but I still think there's still some value on these fights, and we'll see, man. Maybe Usman's got one more in the tank. I tend to think it might just be the retirement party.
Yeah, unfortunately, I agree there. I do think Buckley's going to struggle a little bit more once he starts fighting like the actual young contenders in the weight class. But I think the UFC knows what they're doing here. Like, again, if this is a couple of years ago, Usman would win. Like, he would. The wrestling, put everything else aside, the striking, whatever, the wrestling would have been too much. But now I'm just not convinced that with all the injuries and the age, I don't really think it's going to be there for him. But I am going to be passing. I can't get to Buckley minus 275 either.
So what are you picking, though, for the thing? Buckley decision? Or
we're going to go Buckley decision.
Wow, 5 rounds.
I don't know, man. Like, Usman's durable. He's a durable dude, bro. Like, yeah, Leon knocked him out with like 10 seconds left in the 5th round, but that was a one in a generation shot. Like, we're probably not going to see anything like that again. Maybe for 20 years.
Heard him with a body kick too in the second fight, pretty bad.
What's up?
Heard him with a body kick in the next fight, pretty bad.
Yeah,
too.
but I'm more concerned about the chin. I don't think Buckley's putting him away with body shots. I'd be shocked if that happened. Like, if Usman's going down, it's because Buckley puts his lights out, and I lean towards him not doing it. I lean towards Buckley just winning a damage-based decision, but I can definitely understand the people who are backing the knockout. Again, Usman's 38 years old, busted knees. I get it. But all right, guys, that's it. That's UFC Atlanta. Thank you guys all for tuning in. We got 645 of you watching live. So once again, please like, comment, subscribe. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Twitter, like, retweet, comment, follow me. That all really helps. Make sure you're following my guy, MMA Jewish Better here. JB, what's your handle on YouTube? I'll post it in the description. But
Jewish Better. I could send it to you. You can, like, tag me in the video too. And before you get off the podcast, don't forget we have to give out.
We're gonna make the parlay. Hell yeah! I didn't forget.
Baby.
Just had to plug ourselves first real quick.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate that because I never plug myself at the end. I'm always like, thank you for having me, blah, blah, blah. I say some stupid, crazy Jew shit, and then I'm like, and they'll find me.
Nah, I got you, bro. Make sure you guys find my boy. Make sure you guys give him a follow. And once again, like I said before, if you guys are watching right now, this is your last chance to get involved in our, what are we going to call it? Sweepstakes? That's what it's called.
Giveaway?
If you're watching and you have not yet left a live comment, if you're on Twitter, hop on YouTube for 2 seconds, leave a live comment, because if the lotto parlay that me and JB put together right now, if it hits, I'm going to put 25 bucks on it. I'll post it on Twitter. If it hits, I'll give 10% to somebody in the live chat. It'll be a random little spinner. I'm going to get one entry per comment. I mean, no, one entry per person, not per comment. And then we're going to pick a winner. And again, that's if the lotto hits, and then I'll give you the money. So make sure you take the few seconds that it takes to do that while we put together the lotto parlay. So JB, for the parlay, why don't you give us the first leg?
All right, I'm going to look for it real quick. Love the chat, by the way. And, dude, I've been on fire with the props lately. Been cashing for me very well. I even sent you, like, a random lotto the other day. I hit a couple of them, and it hit. It was, like, a crazy one. So we're live to hit a crazy one here. If you find one, I did like the Bellato decision. You were confident in the Garbrandt kind of.
I would do for mine. I'm thinking Petrosky decision.
All right, I'll take let me look here.
We might have to add a third leg to really make it one a lotto.
I know. What's it called? I'll go with Bellato decision.
All right, Bellato decision. So hold up, let me pull up the numbers.
I like it.
All right, let's see. So does FanDuel have all the props yet?
No, they don't, and it's ridiculous because it's Thursday and it's 7 p.m. Like, what are we talking about here?
It's Wednesday, bro.
It's Wednesday. I don't care. It's Wednesday and it's 7. What, FanDuel? You should be ashamed.
All right, Bet Rivers has numbers, so we're gonna do Bet Rivers. All right, let's see. So logged me in. All right.
Let's go. We need at least 30 to 1. If it's not 30 to 1, we're adding something.
Yeah, let's see. Okay, so Bellato decision is plus 550. That's nice.
I'll take that all day. I think that's 17%.
All right. Petrosky decision plus 420. Those two legs give us plus 3280. So 25 bucks wins 820. We got to go a little harder than that. We got one more leg.
We just add Cody Garbrandt money line and call it a day.
How about, okay, either that or Durden decision. What do you think?
Dude, what is that, a triple decision parlay?
Yeah, I like those. I've been doing those lately.
Yeah, go for it. I like it. Let's do it.
All right.
I think it's live.
Bellato decision, Petrosky decision, Cody Durden by decision. Plus 14,000, 25 bucks wins you 3,524. So that means that if this hits and you left a comment in the live chat and you win the spinner, you get 350 bucks. It's pretty nice for just leaving a comment. So I'm going to give you guys 10 more seconds before we hop out to hop in the live chat, leave a comment, enter the sweepstakes. And while we do that, JB, why don't you plug your stuff and then we'll get on out of here.
Yeah, I'm going to go play that because every time you get on a podcast, you have to play the parlay because if you don't, you will feel like an absolute idiot. And you know what? Clip this because we're going to hit it. This is going to be one of the biggest cashes in podcast history. It is what? What is the parlay again? It is Cody Durden decision. That is big plus money. We're going to get Rodolfo Bellato decision, big plus money. And then what's the final one, my guy Couch?
And the final one is Durden by decision or Petrosky. I forgot which one you already said.
So we're going to redo it. It's Durden by decision. He's going to get the job done in Atlanta, the ATL. Petrosky is going to be a greasy back and forth decision. And then for the finale, we're going to get the Bellato decision. It's going to be some real good cash money, guys. Big plus money coming your way.
There we go. Plus 14,000. Let's go. All right. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Got to head out, and I'll catch you guys next time.